So the video you're about to watch is a real serve stroke analysis I made for Paul, one of my online students. And if you would like me to help you with any of your strokes, your serve, your forehand, your backhand, your volleys, or your overhead, you can click the link in the description. I'm also going to pin it in the first comment, and I can help you with your game. Now, I hope you enjoy this stroke analysis, and maybe you'll learn a couple things that are going to help you with your serve.
Hi, Paul. It's Ryan from 2 Minute Tennis. So excited to help you with your serve. So thank you for the opportunity. I've got you side by side here with Mike Bryan. You in your email had been frustrated with the fact that your serve always seems to go long, and not very far long, just a few inches, but it just keeps going long. And so I want to help you out with three simple things. And really, the first thing is going to address that your serve goes long. So I've got Mike Bryan here on the right, and I want to show you the path that his ball takes in the air. So this is actually going to fix the serve going long. And so we'll put a dot right there. We'll keep going. And you can see the way this ball arcs into the court. So the ball is traveling like this. It's actually called a rainbow toss, right? It's like the ball's traveling like a rainbow, like this. So when you serve, your toss is like an elevator in an elevator shaft. It goes straight up and then basically comes straight back down in its footprint. And you can see that. So your toss goes up and then down. So it goes up and then back down. So if we just go to contact, comparing both of you. Now this is just before contact with him. But if we take the contact and go straight down, and then we take the contact for you, which is actually going to be right there. That's where your toss is, just before contact. You can see how your contact is behind your head. His contact is in front of his head. So what that means is when you're hitting the ball, your strings are going to be open at this point, which is going to encourage that ball to go long, especially if you're serving and volleying or if you're trying to serve really fast and your body weight's going forward and your body gets ahead of the toss. Your racket face is really going to be open when you strike the ball. Well, when Bob is hitting this ball, he's able to have his strings face forward at contact. And what that means is the moment it leaves the racket, gravity is able to start bringing that ball down. So the first thing you're going to want to do is toss into the court, where the ball does not travel straight up and down like an elevator, but actually arcs. Now, the beginning of your tossing motion is excellent, Paul. You have the beginnings of what is called a J toss. So a J toss is when the ball travels like the letter J and then arcs in. So you can notice where you start and then you bring it down to your left hip. So right here, you've just made this move with your hand, with the tossing hand. Now watch your tossing hand. It goes straight up. And when it goes straight up, that's what's going to lead to the ball going straight up. And then that's what's causing your serve to go long because of the contact point that's far behind your head. So what you want to do, and we can see it with Bob Bryan here, is you want to pull the ball back a little bit more in front of you. Ivo Karlovic, and I'll show you him in a second. Ivo Karlovic does the same thing. You want to bring the ball back in front of you, kind of like near your belt buckle, which will actually make it easier to then toss into the court because the ball will actually be behind your tossing shoulder. Your ball basically gets in line with your tossing shoulder. So your ball is here, your tossing shoulder is here, so your arm basically goes straight up. If we can get the ball to go more towards your belt buckle, that means it'll be behind your tossing shoulder, which actually makes it easier to toss forward into the court. So here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Notice he brings the ball back, and when he brings it back, right here, we can see it's basically right in front of his belt buckle. What this means is that the ball is farther back than his shoulder, which gets his arm in this position. See, if like in beginners, you're obviously not a beginner, you're a very good player. Many beginners, they keep the ball out in front of them when they toss. And since their arm is a radius of a circle, right? They end up tossing behind them. And that's why beginners oftentimes toss behind them, because they're actually keeping their arm in front of them. It's counterintuitive. You actually want to bring the ball behind your tossing shoulder. That makes it easy then to toss into the court. And if we look at his release point compared to where he contacts this ball, you can see that he's contacting the ball in front of his release point. So it's arcing into the court. You don't want your toss. It doesn't matter if it's a slice serve, a flat serve, or a kick serve. You don't want the toss acting like an elevator going up and down an elevator shaft. So the reason your serve is going long is because you're tossing straight up. So if we can bring the ball back a little farther, like you're bringing it to here, you're bringing your ball in line with your shoulder, which just leads to the ball going straight up. If we can get your hand, like Evo, to go a little farther back in front of your belt buckle, now your radius is this way, and it tries to arc this direction, and it actually makes it easy to toss into the court. You can maybe get like a bucket or a ball hopper. Let's say you put a ball hopper in front of you. There's a bunch of balls there, right? Like it's a ball hopper right there. And you can just have it in front of you, and you toss the ball into the ball hopper. And one of the things I like to make sure of with my toss is that when I toss the ball, I like that the ball goes to the service line. Now, obviously it lands, just a few feet in front of me, but remember, it's bouncing this way, so it rolls eventually and comes to a stop at the service line. So check to see that you're bringing the ball farther back so it's easier to toss into the court. Then your racket face won't be open when you contact because your contact's back here, but because your contact's going to be out in front of you, you can get your strings to face forward, and when your strings face forward, then the ball actually has a chance to easily drop down into the box. Now, Paul, the second thing I want to show you is how long Mike's tossing arm stays up. You'll notice that the angle of his tossing arm is up and yours is out. And you would think, well, that's because you are going to hit the ball sooner. But if we look at it, he actually gets to the ball before you do. He's already hit the ball, and these videos are perfectly matched at the same frame rate and everything. In fact, if we go, I got to bring you back just a little bit. You can see the ball is right there. The ball is right there. The two of you are in the exact same place with your toss and place in your serve, right? You're at the same moment where you're releasing the ball. And he's keeping his tossing arm up for so much longer. You can see there's not much distance between where his racket is and where his tossing arm is, where with you, there's more distance. And it's just easily seen with where his left arm is and where yours is. So the second thing I would love to see with your serve is that you keep your left arm up longer. You might even feel like your racket is getting quite close to your tossing arm. That helps you accentuate the shoulder angle. It helps you to swing up more. It's also going to help you with your kick serve to be able to keep your body sideways longer. In order to hit a great kick serve, you can see this fence over here. On the kick serve, even though we want the toss to go slightly into the court, even on a kick serve, we just want it slightly behind us when we do it. We want to keep our body basically facing this side fence on a kick serve. The kick serve is hit by keeping your body extremely sideways. So keeping your left arm up longer is actually going to help you to swing up more and stay sideways longer, which absolutely is going to help you hit a better kick serve and actually have more action when the ball hits the ground. And Paul, the last of the three tips that I want to give you with this video stroke analysis lesson is pronation. So you are not pronating on your serve, and you should be pronating on every single serve, kick serve, flat serve, slice serve. On every serve, you should be pronating. And pronating is after you hit the ball, your string's facing off to the right. Now, I've got a rear view here. I don't have a rear view of your serve, but I've got a rear view of Federer here. And I want to show you, by the way, here, look how long his left arm is up. So one of the tips I like to tell people is have your left hand higher than the tip of the racket. And we can see with yours, when you get into the trophy position, the two of you are in the same place with your racket, like knocking off the birthday hat. Notice that his left hand is higher. His left hand is higher than the tip of his racket. And your left hand is lower than the tip of the racket. So we want to keep that left arm up longer. Really, again, accentuates that shoulder angle, allowing you to swing up more, put a lot more spin on the ball, even on your fastest serves. But here's the view of Federer's pronation. So after Federer hits the ball, his strings are facing off to the right. So what you want to do, as you know, you want to come up leading with the edge of the racket, which you are. It looks like you're going to slice the ball in half. And Federer's doing the same thing here. But what you want to do is, as you approach the ball, you want to begin to pronate, which means instead of your strings facing, to the left, or here they're basically facing the camera, you start to rotate. And that rotation continues. And then when you're done, your string should face off to the right. This is a way to get racket speed and kind of have everything you do culminate into the contact and truly snap. It's like snapping a thermometer. Decades ago when nurses would use mercury thermometers, they would snap the thermometer, get the mercury down. It's the same idea. You actually want to pronate your hand that way. You're not pronating. You can see you stay supinated, and your strings are actually facing to the camera, which would mean this direction. We would see Federer's strings facing this way, but they're not. His strings are actually facing off to the right. Now here's a great view of Isner doing this. And in fact, if you look right here, he's in the trophy position, knocking off the birthday hat. We can see that his left hand is higher than his racket. So we want that left arm to stay up a really long time, reaching straight up into the air. And again, that's going to help your shoulder angle to make it very easy to swing up into the ball, and that you're putting the necessary spin on it in order to bring that ball down. That'll really help, by the way, your kick serve as well. But here's a great view of the pronation. So what you have is, before you hit the ball, your string's facing left, just like Isner, but you're doing that after you hit the ball too. What you want to do on all serves, flat, slice, and kick serves, is your strings face off to the right after contact. And so you can see he's rotating, which is the pronation, and it just continues to pronate. So that rotation stays continuous before contact, all the way through contact, and after. So after you hit the ball, you have to have your strings face off to the right and your palm face off to the right. A way you can use, like the Pete Sampras technique, my favorite player ever, and the John Isner technique, is actually to bend this elbow. I find personally that bending my elbow makes it so much easier for me to pronate when I'm done. So Paul, I want you to work first on bringing the ball back in front of your belt buckle so that you can toss forward into the court. I want you to keep your left arm up for much longer so that it's higher than your racket at this point where you're knocking off the party hat. And then we've got to work on pronating. You see, there's just no pronation on either side, which is simply not allowing you to fire the racket through contact and hit with the best spin and speed. So Paul, I want to thank you so much. You work on these ideas, and there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. Paul, you got this.